Dakota versus William Hoehn, 09-2017, CR 3672. Is it Hoehn or Hoehn, sir?
Hoehn, Your Honor.
Thank you. Mr. Hoehn appears by way of ITV from the Cass County Jail. Ms. Martinez is here for the state. Mr. Hoehn, were you present when your rights were read to you over the television monitor?
Yes, I was.
Do you understand those rights?
Yes, Your Honor, I do.
Thank you. Ms. Martinez, if you'd read the charges and the penalties associated with them.
Thank you, Your Honor. There will be an amended information filed. I'm going to change the language of the to wit just slightly, but I will read that as we go here today. Mr. Hoehn, you're being charged with 3 counts. Count 1 as charged is a AA felony punishable by up to life imprisonment without parole. The state alleges that you conspired with Hoehn Crews to murder Savannah Marie LaFontaine Graywind. Count 2, as charged out, is a Class A felony punishable by up to 20 years in jail and a $20,000 fine. The state alleges that you conspired with Hoehn Crews to kidnap the infant child of Savannah Marie LaFontaine Graywind. And then finally, count 3, also an A felony punishable by up to 20 years in jail and a $20,000 fine. Excuse me, count 3 is a misdemeanor punishable by up to 1 year in jail and a $3,000 fine. The state alleges that you provided false information to police during an investigation on a missing person, which you knew to be false and materially misled the investigation. Do you understand the charges as I've read them, as well as the maximum possible penalty?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hoehn. Because 2 of these charges are felonies, we will not take pleas from you today. Rather, this matter will be set on for a preliminary hearing. That'll be October 4 at 9 in the morning. I've read your application for a public defender, sir, and I note that you are now unemployed. You do qualify for a public defender. Mr. Stormy Vickers will be appointed to represent you. You'll get his card from the deputy there in the jail. You should make arrangements to contact him at your earliest convenience. That is your obligation to find him. Lastly today, Ms. Martinez, we need to make a decision about bail. Do you have a recommendation for the court?
Yes, Your Honor. The state is aware of a prior child neglect and abuse, a B felony, in 2012 out of Grand Forks County. Also in 2011, possession of drug paraphernalia. And finally in 2016, simple assault, domestic violence. As indicated in the charging document, the state alleges that Mr. Hoehn was uncooperative and in fact misled the investigation. In addition, the state has information that there were internet searches that would lead a reasonable person to believe that they were looking at staying somewhere else. They were searches for things like Travelocity and different locations in which to stay elsewhere. Based on that information, the state is asking for $2 million cash only.
Mr. Hoehn, as to the issue of bail, is there anything you'd like to add?
The $2 million cash only is set at such a high level to be unattainable. I would request that we do something along the lines of being able to use a bail bondsman, if that is a possibility.
Have you?
I don't know that that would be a possibility to me, but I know that $2 million is unattainable for any regular person. That's not a reasonable bail.
Ms. Martinez, is yours a cash-only recommendation?
It is, Your Honor.
This time I'm going to set bail at $2 million cash only. I would suggest you talk it over with your attorney and bring the matter back before this court if you wish to add anything else. That concludes the hearing. Again, you'll be back in court on October 4, 2017 at 9 a.m. Thank you, sir. That's all. In the other file?
2017 CV1. You want to sign it?
Okay, I'll sign it later.
Hoehn Crews.
State of North Dakota versus Hoehn Crews, 09-2017, CR 3673. Ms. Crews appears by way of ITV from the Cass County Jail. Ms. Martinez is here on behalf of the state. Ms. Crews, were you present in the room there when the video was played and your rights were read to you?
Yes, sir.
You understand those rights?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Ms. Martinez, I would ask you to read the charges and the penalties associated with them, please.
And Your Honor, this information, we have the same issue. We'll be filing an amended information, removing some of the language. It does not change the level of offense, and I will read the full two-wit language as it will be following the amendment. Ms. Crews, you're being charged with 3 counts. The first one is conspiracy to commit murder. The state alleges that you conspired with William Henry Hoehn to murder Savannah Marie LaFontaine Graywind. As charged out, this is a Class AA felony punishable by life imprisonment without parole. Count 2, conspiracy to commit kidnapping. The state alleges that you conspired with William Henry Hoehn to kidnap the infant child of Savannah Marie LaFontaine Graywind. As charged out, this is a Class A felony punishable by up to 20 years in jail and a $20,000 fine. And finally, count 3, false information to law enforcement, as charged out as a Class A misdemeanor, punishable by up to 1 year in jail and a $3,000 fine. Do you understand the charges as I've read them, as well as the maximum possible penalty?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
We will not take pleas from you today, Ms. Crews, but rather the matter will be set on for a preliminary hearing before Judge Frank Rasick. That will take place on September 28th, 2017 at 1:30 in the afternoon. I've read your application for a public defender, and I find that you qualify. I'm appointing Mr. Monty Mertz to appoint you, or to represent you in this matter. Please get his card from the deputy there in the jail and make contact with Mr. Mertz. Ms. Martinez, do you have a bail recommendation?
Yes, Your Honor, we're aware of some bad checks, it looks like back in the early 2000s, and also an assault that occurred over in Minnesota that ultimately conditions were met and the charge was dismissed. Same information applies here. We believe that there were efforts to look for a place to take flight, and so the state is asking for $2 million cash only.
Ms. Crews, anything you wish to add on the issue of bail?
Good, sir.
Thank you. We'll set bail at $2 million cash this time. Again, please remember my admonition and suggestion to you that you get in touch with Mr. Mertz at your early convenience. That's all for today. Thank you.
Your Honor, I do have both amended informations now, if I may approach and file.
Please.
Thank you.
Court will receive the amended informations in both files. We're going to take a short recess in the courtroom so as to allow the other people who are jailed their opportunity to gather in the room and hear their rights read to them, and then we will proceed with their initial appearances or otherwise. Thank you very much, folks.